Okay, so basically I wanted to make a video talking about how the concept of African unity, Black unity is basically a fantasy. Okay, so first of all, if people were taking the concept seriously, it would start in Africa first, and then you would pull in the diasporic groups. So, like ADO shouldn't even be feeling pressure for African unity until there's significant progress of that in Africa, because that just makes sense. When that is not the case, really, it's just all talk right now. In Africa, there's still lots of tribal warfare, friction between the different ethnic groups in Africa. Um, there's even talks about some African nations and states splitting. So there, African unity is not happening in Africa. There has been some progress, but overall, it's just talk. So what does that mean? That just means that African unity is just a silencing tactic. Okay? The reality is that there is a global caste system. That is what race is. It's an appearance based caste system. And ADOS are at the bottom of that caste system. And anytime ADOS tries to challenge or dismantle that caste system, some groups throw out African unity as like this shaming tactic, this distraction tactic. It's a silencing tactic because it's not happening. Okay, another reason why African unity is a fantasy is that genes are starting not to matter. Gene pool is, we're shifting away from this focus on gene pool. Right now, there are lots of native Africans, national Africans, making and first generation African immigrants in the US who are making alliances with white caste groups and the White Caste Confederation. Okay? Um, so, how can there be African unity, Black unity, when people are talking about African unity with one side of their mouth and are making alliances with antagonistic groups towards ADOS with the other side of their mouth? Okay, and then look at how what Trump clarified, what Trump brought up. There are Africans throwing parades for Trump. Tons of Africans from different groups. They love Trump. They love colonizer worshiping, white caste worshiping. Okay, so how can there be African unity, Black unity, when um, that is happening? Even here, um, 1 in 6 ADOS males voted for Trump. So there's not even a going to be this widespread ADOS unity. So how is there going to be a African unity when that is happening? Okay, 80% or more of ADOS voted against Trump. Many of them voted against Trump because they felt like Trump was endangering their very lives. Yet you have ADOS and these Africans voting for Trump. That is completely different value systems. Those are completely different alliances, which there's no unity in that space. Okay? So what we're doing is we're shifting away from gene pool and from less into these specific identity politics, and we're shifting into power politics, where um, tribe and ethnicity and genes are becoming less important, and it's more about nationality, okay, what country, what state, and it's coming more about religion, what particular denomination or sect or religion that you're into, and alliances are being made based on that. So again, the talk of African unity is just another patronizing, condescending, talking down, distraction, silencing tactic. Okay, and a particularly shady um, type of it. Okay, another issue with African unity, we already did it. Okay, that's why that's what another thing what so-called races are, an appearance-based caste system, and we're just intermarried tribes of human beings that have intermarried for thousands of years. We already did African unity. That's why there's large populations that look similar and have similar, share the same macro major gene pool. Okay, and when people are talking about white supremacy and family first and black unity and all this, low key, you're promoting incest. To be honest, like some populations are already getting a little too intermarried. So um, maybe it's time for us to branch out. At the least, people should be going dating with different tribes instead of trying to promote this intertribal marriage and being open to other populations as well. And you can already see this on a social and political level. The Chinese are establishing themselves in Africa. Some people don't like that, but I think that's a healthy thing. You're supposed to make alliances with other countries and nations. Like, no one's going anywhere, okay? And that's what you should be doing. But people shouldn't be presenting this fantasy and dream trying to exploit people's hopes and desires and fears. And on that point is why I feel like people cling to this concept of African unity, and it's that we feel like um, a lot of black cast people feel like the world's out to get us, that the world hates us, and that if we have this African unity, we feel like we're this big force that can protect itself. We feel more comfortable, we feel safer. When I don't believe that is the case. First of all, you can see the SARS protests. Those are Africans killing Africans. So African unity is not just going to mean utopia. Okay. Another thing is we want to, it seems like people want to emulate the white caste confederation. And I think there were some positives of um, colonization, but there's lots of negative aspects as well. Is that something we really want to emulate? This unifying based on gene pools and not values. And that's already crumbling. People are starting to see through that. People are leaving the white confederation. You can already see how the UK left the European Union. So I don't think that's something to emulate. And then to feeling safer, I don't. First of all, I'm not fearful um, of that anymore. I don't feel this fear of being annihilated. Um, and if there was that force anyways, then it is what it is. There's no point of trying to deal with that. So far, so good. And um, when push comes to shove, yes, there's a lot of discrimination and bias here in the US, but when foreign countries attack the US, even with all that bias and discrimination and friction and tribalism, we still unified as a military force. dealt with the enemy, and yes, we came back and we went back to discriminating and killing each other, but when the pressure is there, we unify as a country, we unify as a nation. And then what's the difference? I can stay here and be killed by US citizens or white cast US citizens, or I can go to Africa and I can be killed by Africans. So I don't really buy into this evil white narrative, especially with all the alliances going on. This evil white narrative that's going to annihilate me. What I'm going to do is I'm going to shift along with others and put my base on nationality, on country, on faith, on spirituality, instead of gene pool.